Hey, thanks for watching this video. If you're new to this channel, there's a reason why we've got a comic book out here. That's because we talk about pop culture. We talk about fun stuff here on this channel. And we don't talk about the same kinds of things I talk about on my other channel, which you may have come from, Upon the Chaos. That's for a very specific reason, because I want to be able to communicate with you guys, but we can't have those channels being too similar. So I like to talk about pop culture stuff. So we're talking about pop culture stuff. Here we go. This is a comic book I recently got. It's from artist Jason Brubaker, who used to work at DreamWorks Entertainment, and he left that company to work on these comic books. He's made comic books like Sithra, which is a big hit. It's on Webtoons. I'll put the link in the description. That's a free comic book website that you can go to and you can take a look at some of his work. I think he's really great, obviously, as I got the book. Now, that being said, let's take a look at Phobos. There's some things that I want to discuss as we look at this book. You may notice as we start to go in to the book that it's not like any comic book that you're used to reading. This isn't the kind of comic book you used to pick up at the newspaper shelf at the store or at the comic book store. It's designed specifically to be a book. It's not what comic books used to be, periodicals. It is designed to be in this hardbound, beautifully hardbound format. And so he can use both. He can use all the pages. He can do whatever he wants and create an illustrated book. It's an illustrated story as much as it's a comic book. This shows that the medium of comic books is not limited to having panels and just having your story read like this. You can have an entirety of these pages, and they don't have to be constrained by the traditional comic book format. We'll jump into a little bit later and see that it does have some of the traditional stuff, but as you go through it, you can see that it's very different. And I love this artwork, this black and white. It lends something to this book, which is more of a horror story than a comedic horror. Think Young Frankenstein, something like that, where it's poking fun, but also enjoying the traditional horror aspects. You can see here's a Frankenstein's monster type of individual. And throughout the book, you'll see things like this, which a letter that is in the story, obviously, part of the story. The character writes it, and you can include that in here. It's an illustrated book. It's an epistolary novel in a sense, which is, if you've ever read a novel that's written in journal entries or letters or something like that, that's an epistolary novel. Some of those elements are in here, which actually works because the original Dracula is an epistolary novel. So that's a good historical horror inclusion. All right, so why am I showing you this? We've seen enough. There's a funny joke. All right, we'll end on that. Why am I showing you this? Because I think this book is good. And I want you guys to know about good things that I read. This is a complete story. Often when I read comic books like this, so often they get to the end and it's not satisfying. This book was. It was satisfying. There's a complete story told here, complete origin tale setting you up for more, but you feel like you've got your money's worth. If the story ends here, you feel like, oh, well, I want to see more, but you don't feel cheated or gypped. That's what I want when I get one of these comics. When I pick one of these up, I want it to be complete. I want to have a complete story. That doesn't mean that it has to be the entirety of the tale, epic tale that you want to tell, but it has to be satisfying in and of itself. The experience of reading this has to be satisfying, and this book does that. If you want to get some ideas for your own work, if you're thinking about drawing a comic book or writing a story, this is a good place to start. Jason Brubaker knows what he's doing in the medium, and this story illustrates that very well. Explosion! Fly Fox!